Yeah.
Yeah, I can just run with it.
Yeah, let's go.
I can go
Let's
for
jump
one
right
on.
into it.
All right,
Hey, Sean, thank you so much for hopping on. I'll just let you do the intro. Take it forward.
cool. Hey everyone, my name is Shaun Brown. I'm the CEO of Orbit Metrics. I am also a professional software developer. I met Rohan and his team when we were deep in AI development for other clients of ours, and we ran out of bandwidth. We were unable to keep up with the work on our own. We met Rohan through a trusted source, and we started referring companies and jobs and deals and projects to Rohan and his team. Everyone that we referred over to him, they were fantastic. He's gotten nothing but glowing reviews. Lo and behold, as our business continued to progress and we were starting to build our own internal software tools, we started reaching a plateau of how much software we could turn out. We were building prototypes, and just our bandwidth started to get so constrained that we were finally at a point where, hey, it maybe makes sense for us to hire Rohan and his team. One of the biggest things that one of the biggest reasons that we brought Rohan into our team was we had heard such glowing reviews from all the people that we had referred over to him. We brought Rohan and his team in to essentially clean up a lot of our code, make it production ready, handle CI, handle CD, handle DevOps. And it can be tough from an agency perspective, especially when you're a software engineer yourself, to trust your code, your IP, and everything that you built, your business logic, to hand it over to someone else and say, hey, can you just make it better? When I say Rohan and his team did a fantastic job in taking that genuine nebulous goal and turning it into something that was production ready, with staging environments, with testing, with continuous deployment and delivery, it blew my mind. They brought a level of expertise and talent to our code base that helped architect and trailblaze new patterns for our developers to go ahead and follow from here on out. When there's questions about what's the best way to go about doing something, Rohan and his team bring a level of insight and perspective that is tough to find outside of, the hours and hours of testing your own spikes along the way. They've been incredibly flexible. They've been incredibly helpful in helping us set a lot of our initial processes and procedures for things that we haven't had before. And we're going to continue to follow those processes and procedures from here on out. I don't anticipate a time when we're no longer leaning on Ionio and the support that they provide. I'm excited to keep doing work. There's so many projects and so many things involving software and AI and business logic, and the expertise and perspective that Ionio brings is something that we find invaluable. So if you're on the fence with Ionio, they're fantastic. They will blow you away. They do great quality work, and that they set the standards higher than I even have for what I do myself. So yeah, get off the fence.
That's beautiful. Okay, so typically I ask questions and everything, but you just did it in one take so beautifully. I have no
Awesome.
I have no question, Sean. Thank you so much for
Oh,
everything. It was very
of course.
wow, it's very nice. I'm like very, very happy. I'm just going to go to bed with a big ass grin on my
Good.
thank you
You
so much
deserve it.
thank you so much
No, thank you guys. Like seriously, it's well earned. Like it is incredibly difficult to, like, code is one of those things that you take such strong ownership over, right? It's like an author writing a book. That's what we do. It's our form of art for software developers. And to hand it over to someone else is like it's handing over your baby, saying, hey, are you sure you're going to cross all your T's and dot all your I's? Like, you forgot a semicolon. Like, you freak out about those little things, but it's like you guys handled it like top to bottom.
Yep.
And it restored faith that code can be written well by people other than than ourselves.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And just to like highlight, drive that point home, you are someone who's very, very particular about doing things a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I mean you have your stories outlined very well. You track every single hour. So you do these things really, really well. So when Shaun says, "Oh, this is done nicely," so yeah, that really means a lot. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, awesome. Perfect. So I'll just ask you like a few very basic questions. One of
Okay.
them is when you handed over the code base, it wasn't documented since you guys were just building a lot of features really quickly. So
Hmm.
when we came in, we first sat down for a couple of days and we documented everything. And then we
Hmm.
shared that over. And then after that, we started iterating on the code base. And what was that experience like for you in a perspective of having someone else not just write the code but also document it? Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's a little jarring in a great way. It's the first time that I felt like, and this is going to sound a little cliche, but you feel heard, because it's like you feel like someone is understanding the work that you put out there, um, in a way that I haven't been able to articulate into words. Hence why there was no documentation, whether or not that was bandwidth constrained or whatever. But you guys, the reality is, you guys came in and you documented, and you were able to share in plain English exactly what was built from the prototype, right? And what the goals were and what it meant to achieve. And then that really set a great foundation moving forward
Mhm.
to just make it better while still achieving the same goals we had initially set out to achieve. Um, for context, we had the code base was grown rather than planned. It was a feature after a feature added into the same code base. There was never really time to go back and refactor. Um, we handed over the code to you guys, and top to bottom, it was split out into all the different files. Everything was in proper classes, and it was beautiful to look at.
Awesome. Yeah.
It was
And,
pretty.
and just to like name drop some of our team members from our team, Pinnock and Linz were the ones who were working on this. So Pinnock was the
Mhm.
project manager. I was just watching over him, and Linz was the actual developer. And this was one of the first projects where we actually had the time and a client who could understand the good code. Because typically it's a lot of MVPs, and in an
Mhm.
MVPs the emphasis is on moving quickly, building quickly, breaking quickly. But finally, we got a chance to, put everything we learned in the clean code on paper. So it was like really,
Mhm.
really nice. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and then the GitHub flow,
yeah,
or doing Git flow top to bottom with staging and release branches and production branches. You guys picked up on that so quickly, and
yeah,
tracking it against ClickUp stories where we outline all the work, issues for you Jira users.
yeah,
Um, no,
yeah.
it was pretty cool.
Awesome. Perfect. And what was the communication like? So when I say communication, I mean uh, we have a little bit of an overlap, but not a lot of overlap. So how did we manage in your experience?
Yeah. I thought it was actually, like, I was nervous at first about not having a lot of overlap, but it ended up working really well because, so my work day is, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. Um, so 7 a.m. I'd wake up, and then there's just an update. Hey, all this stuff was accomplished while you were sleeping. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And then I could, you know, I would take my time responding throughout the day, reviewing it, doing all that stuff, putting together like a list of, hey, this was fantastic, or this is great, or even do some development on my own, right? Merging my own PRs, and then just leaving that update in the channel. And then that evening, Rohan and I could sync up again and just say, all right, great, we're going to go ahead and move forward on it. And then I'd go to bed, and then it would just it'd all be done. Blockers, there were never really any synchronous blockers except for maybe getting access to ClickUp, which we just solved one morning. That was a
Yeah,
big challenge, funny enough.
yeah,
Not the syncing, but the freaking ClickUp.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but I thought it was actually a really great overlap because we could just toss messages back and forth, and there was no blocking steps, and it didn't impede on any other part of the day.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, makes sense. Perfect. And what was the communication like? And when I say communication, I mean you are interacting primarily. I think I'm your point of contact, but you also have two other people who are working on the project. So, what was
Mhm.
that coordination or communication like from Shaun to Ionio, Rohan, so on?
Yeah, so talking directly to Ionio, I'd speak through Panak,
Yeah,
and just directly communicate with him. He did a fantastic job of asking the right follow-up questions, in terms of if I just toss something out there without necessarily fleshing it out, he'd say, there's not enough here to really go on. What I really appreciated about him was he would push back and say, we need more details, or like, hey, like, just how do you want it done? Because again, I could be a little particular, but he picked up on that great. Panak he's a stud.
Yeah.
He's just a cool guy. Like, he's just a cool guy is what it came down to. And then Lince, he writes great code. Like, I see him pushing, commits all the time, and I get to see. I don't speak to him directly too much, but I get to see him through his code, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. Awesome, perfect. Again, I don't have any other specific questions. Your first, from the moment you introduced yourself, you were like so articulate. Like, this is amazing. Yeah, like Steve Jobs. That's crazy.
Ha! No,
Yeah.
just you guys do great work, and you deserve it all. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Shaun. That's it.
likewise.
Yeah,
All right.
awesome.